Hi. I'm really hoping you can hear me because I can kind of hear myself. So you're going to have to. It's been a while. It's been a while. I'm going to put the numbers up for you so that you can hear. It's very weird. I don't know what I can hear. Anyway, let's. Oh, they're already there. So if you remember how it works, let me just open these phone lines. I'm just going to say this. If you feel brave, if you're one of the many people that like to criticize me, comment on me, whatever it is you want to do, you can now call me and you can say it to my face. I will tell you the numbers any second. Sound is good, wonderful. Okay, so if you're in the UK, right, and you just fancy having a chat, it's 0800 058 4204. If you're in Australia, it's 1-800 959 819. New Zealand, it's 800 441 607. In the United States, it's 877 729 1771. If you're in Canada, I've applied for my visa this afternoon, people. It's 888 835 and then some other numbers at the end. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if you saw earlier. I'm just going to keep talking until someone rings. I figure that is the best thing to do. If you saw me earlier, I had a little bit of a chat earlier. The lovely NHS has decided that this thing here is not parody. So let me just show you. So copyright infringement is if you're trying to pass something off. So for example, I could have a nice tape measure and I could call it something along the lines of Coca-Cola or whatever. But Coca-Cola don't sell tape measures, and you'd have to be really stupid to think that, oh, I don't even know what I would call it. It'd be something hilarious. But you'd have to be quite stupid. So the NHS are saying that one of the things they think I'm doing is doing something that people will be confused is part of the NHS. So that's, I mean, this thing here says 0 women a year die of prostate cancer. That's one of the things. This is another one. This is the male smear test, the female prostate screening, and then the rainbow and diversity. And they claim because I use MHS that I'm trying to pass off something as theirs. So that's where I am. Anyway, this is not about me. This is about you. So look, it's been a long time. I had a lot of issues with this particular phone company because they couldn't trace my account and they somehow kicked me out. But it was not nefarious in the end, everybody. But I'm just going to hang on in and wait. And if nobody calls in, which is, you might not, then I will just keep talking about myself. But here we go. Hello, good evening. This is Tough Talk Tuesday. You can say you are, you don't have to. And I'm really hoping that I'm going to be able to hear you. What would you like to say?
Hello, good evening, Kellie-Jay. It's Anna. Can you hear me okay?
I can, Anna. I'm going to hold. I'm just going to get confirmation from people that they can also hear you. If you don't mind.
Sure.
Can everyone hear Anna? Oh my God. No, that's somebody talking about Ali Snyder. I'll tell you what, you carry on talking. You carry on talking, Anna, and then we'll see if... Oh, hi, Anna. There you go. Catherine heard you. Hi, Anna. What would you like to say?
Good evening. Just a simple little something. I saw your post earlier about the NHS, and I just received a letter just this week. Dear real woman, i.e. me, a few months ago we invited you for your NHS cervical screening, brackets previously called the smear test in inverted commas, close brackets, we offer screening to all women and people with a cervix aged 25 to 64 to help prevent cervical cancer and to save lives. So I just thought, my blood.
I'm sorry, you have run out of calling credit. Your call will be disconnected now.
Is that me or you, Anna? I don't think it was me. Anyway, Anna, you need to top up. But let me just say this. We know that that's what's going on in the NHS, which kind of makes the whole attack completely galling. Actually, do you know what I can do? But I would call you back, Anna, but I'm concerned that people will. I wonder if they'll see your number. We're calling you back. I think there's something weird with this phone. Anyway, so Anna rang in to say that she had a cervical smear letter, which is now called something else, and it's very, very annoying. And it's just a little bit incredible, isn't it? At the same time as they're telling me that what I'm doing is too close and is using their branding, that what we're getting is they're a parody, right? The NHS is a parody, so I don't know why it is that I should be challenged on the basis of using their branding. It's absolutely nuts. Oh yeah, I know. Sorry, Sarah. I tried my best, but thank you for your compliments. So anyway, that was our first call back on 2025 TERF Talk Tuesday. It has been a very long while. I've had such an eventful few days. Just variety of kind of communications which have been pretty rubbish. I was in a waiting room. So Pop the Kettle on Love says, I was in a waiting room with a bloke at a hospital and the nurse came out and called my name and looked at the bloke. It's so demented, isn't it? AG Philbin. Well, since cervix actually means neck in Latin and we all have necks, we should demand our free neck exam if they want to be stupid about it then. I totally agree. I do feel, look, maybe you guys don't know this. I'm going to tell you. When I was going to my local GP, I was going to hand in a letter about my kids. There was one letter about one of my children. I was going to make another appointment and so on. And so I went into my GP's and there was a woman with ample breasts. And she was wearing a big he/him badge. And I made a comment and I said I didn't feel it was appropriate to be wearing that at work. And she said, it's got nothing to do with my job. And I was like, exactly. Anyway, I got banned. So I got banned from my GP surgery. I'm not even allowed to attend with my kids. And that's it. I mean, it does make things more complicated. I haven't even bothered to find another surgery, to be honest. I just can't be really asked. Linda, I'll tell you what you missed. Actually, oh, that's me. I'll tell you what you missed. You missed me restarting TERF Talk, and you also missed the NHS threatening to sue me. So fun. That's what you missed. Oh, let's have a look. Are you sure your phone lines are working? Oh, as it's a free phone number. Well, it should be working because it's never had an issue. Let me just switch over to something else. That number is not working. Brilliant. It's so weird. Well, this is successful, isn't it? 0204 515 2251 is the general number. Didn't we hear that message about credit before the service stopped working? The thing is, I pay a huge amount of money, and there's always credit. Oh, maybe. Is it not 0800? Yes, it is. I'm gonna have to go back and talk to the company, aren't I? About it says the mailbox is full. Brilliant. Oh, so everyone's trying to ring and it's not working. I see. Okay. Hello, good evening. This is Tough Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You actually got through. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi, Kellie-Jay. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you perfectly well.
Hi, I'm calling in just to thank you for bringing back TERF Talk Tuesday, because I feel it's very important to listen to other women with different experiences. So, in fact, I think that's all I wanted to say, because I really appreciate, and when it's weekly, I know it's going to happen, and I'm prepared and I'm waiting. And I'm sure lots of people have things they would like to tell you and to call you, but maybe they didn't notice it was going to happen today.
Maybe. I think I've really
But
screwed up in many, many ways.
no,
Which,
no. I'm hopeful that other women call. One has already called, but unfortunately she had a connection problem. But I'm sure other ladies will call. So that's all.
Well, thank you so much. And where are you calling from?
Portugal.
Bom dia. Well, it's not, is it? I'm supposed to say something about something night, and I can never remember. And if I do, it'll probably be with a Brazilian pronunciation. So
you say it with a Brazilian accent. I would say it differently, but it's perfect how you say it.
Oh, thank you so much. Nice to hear from you.
Thank you. You too.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I can see called. So if you've just called, you better call again, because I can see my mailbox is probably very full. So I'm ready, and and yeah, I can see lots of people have phoned, so I do apologize. I just phoned myself. That's good. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So if you'd like to call, it's all opening up, and I don't know who I just missed. Oh, why am I not? Oh my God. It is like the most, I do feel like the most stupid woman on earth. So I do apologize, because I'm missing lots of loads of calls, but I can't. I'm going to ring this person back. Oh, I think I just cut her off. That's great. Finally, TERF talk. Same time as your morning coffee, is it, Cactus? That's nice. Very nice. Australia is another country I'd like to return to. I love TERF talk tech issues. It's not tech issues. It's totally, I have no idea what's happening. But I am missing lots of calls. So in many ways, that's brilliant. But also the stalker's not ringing me. So maybe there is something going on. Cactus Flower says Rex is under a bit of legal pressure. I'm sorry, this mailbox is full. I probably ought to listen to all the messages. Maybe not right now. That'll be lovely. Oh, we love you for your tech issues. Thanks, Ali Snyder. I'll be talking to you tomorrow. I'm so sorry, everyone. Do I ring this boomer tech? You be quiet. I could program a video recorder when I was little. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. Miraculously, you've got through. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hello?
Hello.
I'm through. Oh my God, hello.
You are. Hi. You're through,
Hi,
and
Kellie-Jay.
we can't even work telephones here. So well done.
It's a blooming miracle.
What would you like to say?
So I'm Chloe. I'm calling from Bolton.
Hi, Chloe.
I just wanted to talk about the NHS, really. I work for the NHS for all my sins, but I'm not frontline.
Right.
Most of the people that you talk to and you deal with and that are on like Women Speak are frontline staff. So just from a kind of backroom staff perspective, I just wanted to tell you that we are also bombarded with all the trans ideology stuff. Recently I was on a refresher course, and all the exam at the end to check all your knowledge and stuff, all the questions were gender neutral. So even the questions about gynecology were all gender neutral. A patient comes in, they have a bilateral salpingoophorectomy, blah, blah, blah. And when I questioned this with the trainer at the end, because nobody else said anything, there were about 15 of us, nobody else said a word. I was told by a woman who'd done my job for about 25 years, I've done it for 15. She said, well, it's not politically correct to ask patients whether or not they're male or female anymore, is it? And I went, and I just sort of thought, I just said, is it not? And she went, no. So that's why these questions are geared towards gender neutral. And I thought, right, I'm going to leave it silent. I'm going to let somebody else chip in and say what they want to say. And nobody said a word, but you could tell by the look on everybody's faces that they all thought the same thing, but nobody would say a word. So I let it go. And then at the end, there was like a feedback questionnaire thing that came through. And I just let rip on it. I just like, this is ridiculous. We're not patient facing. What difference does it make? Like what we say in these tests are all theoretical. Nobody's like hurt or whatever you want to call it. Nobody's questioned about it. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So I put it all down, and I made sure I made a big song and dance about it and saying, you know, patient, if this is theoretical and you can't even admit biological reality, then what hope has the NHS got for patient safety if you can't even acknowledge that men are men and women are women in a theoretical role?
Can you feel it? Like when
just,
you're in that room, can you feel it? Can you feel like, can you feel the words here in other people's throats?
Some yeah and some no. When it seems to be a generational thing, to be honest, Kellie-Jay. I feel like people who've been around the block a few times know what's what, apart from this trainer lady. But I think she just felt like she had to say that, and she didn't have any other kind of response up her sleeve.
Yeah, well, if you don't agree with something, you'll say politically correct, won't you? Because that's kind of a sign that you don't really agree with the motive. If, for example, it was something that was genuinely racist, you're not going to say, well, it's politically correct not to say that. You'd say, well, it's racist, wouldn't you? So I think it's and I do think it's generational, but I also feel that's why some people of my generation go along with it, because they're worried they're getting left behind, or that they're going to sound like they're getting left behind. Whereas I don't know. I sort of, well, I've always been like this, but I certainly think when you get to 50, like when you get to proper grown up age where actually your face starts sliding off your skull, when you get to that age, I just think, can you really not say anything? Like, can we really go along with this crap?
No, and I'm at that stage myself. I'm nearly 48, so I'm a Gen Xer like you. And I'm really sad to say that I have got younger friends who are millennials, really, really intelligent people, really intelligent girls, and they do believe in this fairy magical stuff that, men can be women and women can be men. And it really upsets me that it's so clever. So clever.
Do you think they do? Like, honestly?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
do
I
you,
do.
you don't think they're in a? You don't think it's cult-like thinking where actually, like, could they genuinely argue it without getting emotional and using circular arguments?
It depends what's put in front of them, and some of them have seen real life quote unquote evidence of it, so they believe what they think they can see in front of them,
Oh my God, it's so
which is
frightening.
terrifying.
Yeah. Well, especially in the context of the NHS, I think
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
forgive people's stupidity when maybe it doesn't matter so much. Well, I don't forgive anyone anything, but you could sort of think, oh, if they don't really know and it doesn't make that much difference to them, if they're living this sort of privileged life where actually bodies don't matter, then fine. But it
Mm.
really does matter in the NHS, and it's
Yeah, it
this
does.
nasty, nasty cult-like
It
culture.
it absolutely is, and I just find it terrible. I can't believe we've got here. Like I've worked for the NHS for 25 years now. It's just my anniversary coming up, and the difference is just unbelievable. Like these theoretical scenario questions that we've got, they used to make them like really funny. Like a patient with a headache goes to see Dr. Brain. Do you know? Like they used to make it funny, and just like a just to try and ease the
Yeah.
horrendousness that is these tests that you've got to go through. But now it's just also as a byline, the amount of COVID stuff that were in these exams is unbelievable. They're just still going on and on and on about COVID.
Well, the person who wrote to me from their legal department is in her sort of in the preliminary thing, it talks about COVID.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm not
like
surprised.
in the introduction to it, it talks all about COVID.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
It's I just don't even. It just feels like it's so untrue. And the things that we now know that were happening in COVID, like the DNR on
Oh yeah,
people with special needs or
oh
elderly
yeah, I
or
saw that.
dementia and everything,
Yeah,
it's just it is
but
horrendous.
but this is what opened my eyes to it all, Kellie-Jay. I didn't realise that's when I peaked with COVID, because I was just like, what? And I was an outlier, and I was castigated throughout COVID because I'd weren't signing up to it at all, and I was the only one who did.
What do you
But
think that the DNR stuff? And I know it's off topic for me, but I'm just really interested because I know lots of people that this happened to. So it's not really there's no for people who don't know about this. It's not a conspiracy. It genuinely was true. Where did that come from? Like that must have come high up the food chain, right?
yeah, he must have done. I don't know, because I'm more at the bottom, so I deal with patients once they've been discharged.
Right.
But I can read everything from when they were admitted to when they're discharged. That's my part of my role, is to read all patients' experiences. But yeah, at the time they were all sending them home back to care homes with COVID. I saw that every day, like hundreds of them. It's just signing their own death warrant, isn't it? But
Yeah. And we knew they were
there
doing
was a lot
that.
of
We knew they were doing that. And then all the people I know, the people that were out every bloody Tuesday when it was, clapping like seals, just
yeah,
like, I was just pleasant to everyone. I didn't necessarily go and clap every night. No one could have heard me anyway. So it had only been for my husband's benefit and my kids. But the people I know that were really kind of, oh, I clapped. They're also the people that wanted nurses sacked for not having the COVID vaccine.
yeah,
It's just weird.
yeah. It's shocking. You lose friends over it, and it's really sad that like now I feel vindicated, but at the time it was a lonely, dark place.
Yeah. Well,
It
look,
was just awful.
let me offer you something hopeful. If you would like, we can be perfectly confidential. You can even make up an email address and send us a contact. If you want to tell us who your hospital is, you don't even have to say iPhone Turf Talk. You just need to say, "Oh, this hospital is nuts." We can come out and leaflet and do a nice little table outside the hospital, knowing that they try and poison staff and patients with this shit.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
And join LWS locals, because we're just building this nice network where you can actually talk about stuff without
Mm.
fear or hesitation. You can actually say, well, you know, he's got a penis, so he's a man, and
Well,
nobody dies. It's amazing.
the chief operating officer is totally captured because she's a woman, and she says she calls everybody pregnant people, and the pregnant people unit where people give birth, and all. It's just so disappointed coming from a woman, you know.
Oh, can you? Do you have kids?
I do, yeah.
Do you remember when, like, the first time someone said you're an expectant mother? Like, just
Yeah, it
how
was
amazing
delightful.
that felt.
Yeah, yeah.
And your little yellow
Proud.
book and all that stuff, and oh, hello,
Yeah,
mum, and people would call you mum. All the midwives would
yeah,
say mum. They don't do
yeah.
any of that now, do they?
No, it's shocking.
Oh,
Just
it's
shocking.
disgusting. Well, anyway, we're gonna change it because perimenopausal, nearly menopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal women, we're not gonna have any of it.
We're
And
not.
it's really lovely to talk to you.
Just two really small things.
Go on.
Love your jumper, and I've just bought one.
Yes.
That you're wearing now. Also, I was planning to come to the Charlie one in November, but the storm sadly put an end to that. Do you have any plans to come to Charlie?
I have plans to come anywhere. It's just got to be local led. So if there's some local women in
Okay.
Chorley, but there's definitely plenty of towns up there for both this issue, and also to make sure that we really, really don't forget about the victims of the Pakistani Muslim paedophile rape gangs. So
Yeah,
I just want
know.
to make sure that we keep going to places where those women might want to speak as well.
Yeah,
So I know,
definitely.
unfortunately, I know there's relatively a lot of places kind of within driving distance of Chorley. So yeah, I hope to meet you.
Yeah, cool. That'd be great.
All right, cheers,
Nice
lovely.
to speak to you.
And you.
Cheers.
All right, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, can you imagine? Oh, it's such a pigging nightmare, isn't it? It's just unforgivable. It's unforgivable. Right, I've opened the phone lines again. I'm actually doing this well now. So yeah. Shall we have a post-menopausal day? We probably should. A no fucks Friday. How about that? Oh, that's quite nice. A no fucks Friday. Really, when nothing can get to you. Now, I saw a couple of you I'm sorry I missed you, but you'll have to try again. Thinking a llama day of visibility is coming up. Well, it probably is. Probably is. I'd pop the kettle on, love. This is Lola Moth. Morning, Lola. Rage sets in once our last fuck has been given. Well, you know, that might be a bit graphic for some of us, Lola, but you know, whatever floats your boat. Kellie-Jay, come to Italy. I'd love to. Where in Italy? Where should we come in Italy? But that would be something that I would be well up for. Maybe Sorrento. Do you live in Sorrento or the island of Capri? I'm happy to go there. Naples, wherever you want, I will come to Italy. You just need a couple of you to organize something so women can come along. I'm a lactation consultant in the US. I have to work my own business so I can use words. New mom, breastfeed, mother, 100%. 100%. If you want one of these. So this is a reference to Brave New World. I'd rather be a savage. And that's because the civilized people were on Soma. So they didn't experience anything. They didn't experience any pain or humor, laughter, poetry, romance. They were civilized. And quite frankly, I'd rather be a savage and be able to speak. So Sorrento, the traffic was awful there in October. I think that is something. Hello, good evening. This is Tough Talk Tuesday. You can say you are, you don't have to. What would you like to say?
Kellie-Jay, it's Anna. I think we got cut
We
off. And I
did.
don't know how much you heard, whether I. And then I think you tried to call me back, but when I picked up, it just dropped. So
Oh, that
I'm
was
just
my
calling
fault.
back
Sorry.
in case. I don't want to go through it all again
Well, we
I
didn't
don't know
hear
when I
that
got cut off.
much. We just heard the
Okay,
main
it's
issue.
4 words, Kellie-Jay. We offer screening to all women and people with a cervix,
Yeah.
aged 25 to 46, to help prevent cervical cancer and to save lives. I mean, it's my blood just boiled. It just makes me so furious. I mean,
It's
who are
terrible,
these
isn't it?
people that aren't women with a cervix?
Do
I
you
feel like
know
ringing them up and asking them.
Canada? So US, UK. I mean, they've been doing this a really long time because when I put the billboard up, they were already using cervix haver. Although I don't think they might have even said people with the cervix. So they've put the word woman back in, and I think they think that will appease us, which it doesn't. But in Canada, on their cervical cancer kind of website to help people who suffer from cervical cancer or have been diagnosed, there was a special page for trans women.
Great.
Trans women and how they deal with cervical cancer. And I'm thinking, I don't think men get cervical cancer, but it was, it was almost like they didn't want to leave those poor, vulnerable, porn fetishists out. So they did a special little section for them. How lovely is that?
Well,
So
I'm incensed by just this little, women and people. You're either left with the choice of you're thinking, is it me? Am I going insane? Or just being absolutely furious. And then the rest of the letter's covered with crap about the doctor or nurse who does your screening will tell you how and when you can expect to get your result letter. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's 2 pages of just ridiculous information.
So real infantilized kind of step by step. Weird.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It really is horrible. And it's a really, our borough is, bankrupt, one of these rotten boroughs, really, through mismanagement and embezzlement, it's got to be said. But there's still, I don't know, I'm sure this is all central anyway, not from the borough. But anyway, because I saw your post earlier about the lovely NHS, I thought it was just such a coincidence I'd had this letter. And I know it's been happening. I mean, I've been listening to you and everybody, about this weird language and whatever, but it's the first time it's directly come to me into my house. I've seen it all out and around me, and I avoid the NHS. I mean, apart from accident and emergency, of course.
Yeah.
But I avoid the NHS at all costs, on all fronts. I've never had smear tests or mammograms, actually. I'm not saying nobody should, but for me, my instinct is to stay away and get greater. Anyway,
I've read a lot about mammograms. No, you can go on. I've read a lot about mammograms over the last few years, and I must say they've been quite persuasive. I'm not going to talk about them because other people can just go and read for themselves, but I'm inclined to agree with you about much of this stuff. It just feels all a bit. Once you know that this organization, and we've known about other scandals, but once you know that they can happily give children drugs that sterilize them and prevent them from having sexual function as adults, once you know they can do that, and we know for sure that they did do that, and other people will turn a blind eye, and then when somebody comes and does a whole report about it, supposedly like 4 years worth of very expensive research, and still comes up with using the language of gender distress and saying that maybe sometimes it might be all right to do those things to children. I just don't know why anyone would have too much faith in it at all.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that for me, I can know something and then the facts kind of catch up later. It's a gut feeling. And one of those things, actually, one of those moments for me was actually the wonderful trouncing of Dr. Harrop. When I saw you, I was riveted, and I don't watch that sort of TV at all. I just happened to see you, and suddenly so much just stacked up. And it took a while to process it, but that was one of those moments when I know. And again, I would never tell any other woman what to do for her health. Everyone has to know for themselves. You know, I
Mm.
don't want to put anyone else in the wrong, but I knew for me that mammogram to me was trauma to the breast. Somehow it just has always felt very, very wrong. And yes, when you learn about all this horrendous, just gut-wrenching stuff with so-called gender of, medicine and care, just the fact that they're using that language of care is just, to me, it just physically disgusts me, really. But
Yeah,
anyway.
me too. And I mean, look, in many ways, I honestly think, Anna, that we're the lucky ones, right? Because we found out that there is a push narrative, and we know 100% that some things are wrong. Therefore, we get the privilege of understanding that we can't really trust anything. We have to research and go on our gut feeling often.
Yes,
But
it's hard work too.
yeah, but I think I do think we're quite lucky, because when you talk to other people about any issue and you say, well, I don't really know what the answer is, but I feel uncomfortable. I don't think that what we're being told is necessarily the real thing. And then they look at you like you've just said, I genuinely do think the Queen was a lizard. It just seems like
Yeah,
you're absolutely batshit crazy, pardon my language. And
totally. And you're
yeah.
spot on when you say infantilizing, you see. I mean,
Mm.
I'm onto that in a second. It's so manipulative, but it's so subtle, all this language. And
Yes.
that creeps me out as well,
Yes. Well, there's the infantilization of
Mm.
adults, and then at the same time, there is stopping to use words for children like child. And often schools will address you as your young person. So I went to a meeting, and they didn't say your son or daughter. They didn't say your children in your care or your child. They said your young person all the way
Yeah,
through. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
did say at the end of it, that's my child. That's my son or my daughter. That's not my young person. But that's another thing they do, is they young people, young person, young learner, student, and they'll do anything to stop the familial connection that you have with your children when they talk about your children.
Yeah, I challenged somebody in a training, actually, a so-called safeguarding, and he sometimes said children and sometimes said young people. And I asked him how he decided and what made him say young people when he said young people. When we're talking about safeguarding, I said, I think, language has to be really clear in safeguarding. And he wasn't quite sure, but he was open to the question, actually, which was a good thing. He didn't get all defensive, but it was quite interesting. He switched between the two.
I mean, sometimes
Yeah,
I think it's harmless, but often I think there's people don't even know why they've been told to say it. And it was 2015 when people at my children's primary school, the dinner lady staff, were told not to say good boy, good girl, not to use boy and girl anymore. And that was 2015, 10 years ago, when most of us were fast asleep. But thank you for persisting.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Nice to talk
for
to you.
taking the call. You too.
Cheers,
Bye-bye
lovely.
now. Bye-bye.
Bye. It is language. It all comes back to language, which is why I get so peed off with the likes of Sex Matters and other people who keep sort of saying, I think it's Piers Morgan came out and said, I'll use she. And I think, okay, why do you need to tell us? What are you looking for, Piers? I mean, you're wrong. But what are you looking? I'll happily call a man she. Although I think he says trans woman, so he's never really got it, has he, old Piers? He's never really fully understood. Hello, good evening. Oh, bon dia, except it's not bon dia. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say you, I don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi, boa noite. I decided to call again.
Okay.
Because I wanted to pick up on a subject that I often talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ask the nurse, does everyone in that training, do you think that they believe in it, or what do you think? And on that aspect, what I'm going to speak about is a broader aspect. I'm 35 years old, but people my age and younger I feel like they don't have critical thinking skills.
Yes.
I know people that I have to work with, they cannot articulate a sentence. It's I don't have words to describe it. I was fortunate enough that my parents could put me with great effort in a Catholic primary school where I had a good foundational education.
Mm.
Obviously, I also worked hard because I was pushed to work hard. I was expected to work hard. That was my job. And I'm thinking bigger picture, what do these teaching policies really want? Because I think it's something deeper. It's so disheartening, but I feel like um, I reckon that Portuguese is a very hard language.
Hmm.
But
Yes.
for someone native, it should be that you are hearing it and speaking it from day one of your life. You should be able. I know people with my age that they cannot articulate the sentence, and that they do grammar mistakes, they do spelling mistakes. It's and I'm speaking like higher educated people.
Yes.
I know journalists that they don't really they don't write well. They don't have critical thinking skills, and I feel like people that are older, I don't feel the same as this. I know the people that are older, some are con artists, but I reckon that they have critical thinking skills,
Yes.
although they choose for political reasons or whichever other ones to be deviant. This is in English, to deceive the
Deceive.
public,
Yes.
to deceive. Um, and so when you ask the nurse, do they realize what's going on? I think if they are 25, it's difficult that the education they went through will skill them with the tools they need to be able to critically analyze anything. It's very disheartening to speak like this, but is really the way I feel.
Mm.
And think that most of them, maybe they didn't have the chance to get a mother like yourself, very committed, very present. So it's a bit off topic, but I often think about this.
Yeah.
And it's really because not everyone has the chance to put their children in private education.
Hmm.
And nowadays it seems if they don't do that, they don't. I heard a news today that the young people are losing jobs because they cannot speak well. They cannot articulate with customers.
Well, I mean, I certainly agree with that. We're losing the skill completely in many of our places. Sort of service. I complain about it all the time. Just simple please and thank yous. I have to say,
Yes.
I think Portugal, you're still. I mean, I only went to Lisbon recently, but in Portugal, I think there's still a chance that people will talk to you when you go in the shop, although I can't understand them, but they will smile and talk to you. But I when I was a little girl, which is a long time ago now, but the sort of text that they were reading that we read in schools um, were sort of texts maybe written at a time with really great meaning. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of modern books, they sort of maybe it's because they're written in a time where things aren't as urgent, or the things they're writing about aren't as urgent. And so they don't seem to have such depth of meaning and sort of hidden meaning. So you can really talk about the text and the symbolism and so on. It just doesn't feel like that. And I think that we were quite lucky. Like we read, there's a book called To Kill a Mockingbird, and that was about racism. But it was just full of just symbolism, and you would have to really talk about it and think about how people felt, whereas I just think kids are just assumed to be stupid, And also they don't have a very large attention span, and they're not allowed to be bored. So I think I've probably done that a little bit with my children, where they weren't bored, and I think you need to be bored in order to have a kind of a full and well-rounded childhood. You need to be bored out of your mind so that you use your imagination.
Yes, yes, certainly. And um, well, I agree 100% with all you said. And to think 20 years ahead, I'll be what, oh, an old lady, almost like thinking of retirement, and these will be the ones filling the shoes of our society. And who will be the ones that will always be on top? Upper class.
Yes, of course. Well, I think we might be heading into global
They can have private
feudalism.
tutors. They can
Yeah.
have everything.
Well, look, the kids that go to Eton and the private schools, they don't have it easy. They're the way they are, and they're they're very sharp elbowed, what we would call sharp elbowed.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they have they are not coddled. So the super rich are not coddled. They are trained how to kind of rule and be leaders. And it's the middle of us that have coddled our children. It's the middle class that coddle our children. Working class probably don't either, because they don't have as much time. So maybe it's
Yeah.
the two
Yeah,
spectrum.
I agree. I am from a working class background, although now I'm middle class, and I never had I had no excuses. There's no excuses for bad grades. There is no excuses for bad behavior, and it certainly did me very well.
Well, bring that back. It's all right anyway, because we might send all of our working class to go and get killed on the front
You
line.
just need to broaden the Michaela schools.
I
That's all.
I can't tell you how many times I talk about this, but you
Yeah,
know,
no, I know, because I like almost your stalker. I'm always attentive to what you say.
well, thank you so much. It's just bonkers, isn't it? She does really well. She has really good discipline. And somehow these are the same sorts of children that go to schools near me, and the schools near me, I guarantee, they don't have quiet in their hallways, and they don't have good attendance, and they don't have well-behaved children. It's totally bonkers, and it's not difficult, and it comes from the head teacher and then down. And she is an absolute marvel. I don't know why we wouldn't want Michaela schools all over the country, in every single
Yes.
town. It's mad.
And what I think is, like I said, I'm 35 and I think like this. So why are parents that are my age or even older, 40 or 45, why do they think it's nonsense? Why do they think that's repressive? Because children, they love boundaries.
Yes.
They need to have boundaries to be able to test them.
Yes. And if they don't, they test them with their bodies, and then they decide that they are
Don't get me
trans.
started, because I need to refrain myself from talking, especially at work,
Yeah.
because it drives me insane. It's beyond. It's like, how can you look at Ellen Page?
I don't know. I
And
don't know what, and think that she's not a miserable, very miserable young woman.
I don't know, but but mainly the topic was what that I was thinking is education, what we are doing to these children, and most importantly, how do we turn this around?
Well, we bring the grown-ups back in the room. That's what we do, and we start
That's
making
right.
people responsible. But
That's
it was
right.
it was so lovely to talk to you, and I will practice my Portuguese pronunciation, because
Okay.
I'll try not to be so Brazilian in
I I didn't mention that I followed very attentively the Brazilian event.
Oh, did you?
In Rio? I liked it. The testimonies were good. I feel, I'm going to be honest, the ones in the UK are more powerful.
I think
It's a
that's
different kind of vibe.
I'll tell you what my impression when I left Brazil. It's the same as everywhere. There's a middle class that are more concerned with academic, and
Mhm.
therefore, in my mind, the academic pushback in the UK totally impeded the success of the entire movement, because they thought this up, and then they thought they could think up a way to resolve it, and actually it's a dirty, nasty, unsafe business. Like, my daughter going in a changing room, it's not some academic exercise. It's a real life situation in
Mm.
which she is put at risk with a man in it. And
Yes.
I do think that all movements where they are led by academics and quite privileged people who spend their lives talking about ideas, I think that they need to kind of have their little bit in academia, and they need to let the more exciting um other women that are dealing with tangible real life situations, I think they need to let them lead, because these women
Mhm.
have a far more visceral and real relationship with the consequences of calling a man a woman. And so
Yes.
that's how I feel about it.
And I think you know why you're not invited to panels,
Oh yeah.
and I'm glad you are not.
Me too. I mean, look,
Because
it's a bit painful sometimes, but it's
no,
quite right.
I understand. I feel the same. I mean, in a different level. I feel like I'm 100% uncompromising. I don't compromise. When I feel something is wrong, is wrong.
Yeah.
It's like how much airing is good for your children? Well, zero.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I have I like I said, I come from a working class background. I have a no nonsense approach to things.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's the only way.
Um,
I just
and
don't. I
the
just
thing,
think, if you can say something in 3 words, why say it in an essay? Just no. Nobody's got
and it's
time for
not
that.
approachable. It's not approachable. It's like politics talk. Sometimes even educated people don't understand politicians.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're all lawyers mainly.
Yeah. Yes, they
You
are.
can be a doctor and you don't understand what they're saying.
I
They speak for themselves.
Yeah. Well, I'm just reading in the comments that the Scottish education system has dropped Robert Burns from their 5th and 6th year English. So Robert Burns is probably the most famous Scotsman um, when it comes to sort of beautiful words, and he's dropped.
Like,
Oh, we'll get there. But it's really lovely to talk to you, and make sure you tune in
you
next week
too.
and you can talk again.
Yes. Bye bye. Thank
All right.
you.
Bye-bye. Bye. Ah. Portugal's so lovely. It's so odd that this stuff happens everywhere, but it's in Portugal, it's in Brazil, it's in Argentina. Um, where I think there's some girls in Turkey years ago who asked if they could put out a woman, adult, human, female t-shirt in their language. It's just mad. It's just mad. Right, if you're gonna call, you better call now. Otherwise, I'm gonna end this beautiful return. And we will be doing it every week, so you can get used to actually calling. And I promise that I will get my tech sorted. Uh just so crazy. It just really annoyed me about the Harper Lee book, To Kill a Mockingbird, probably because it was one of the first books, besides Jane Eyre and so on, that I ever read that I thoroughly enjoyed, and it was really to see it replaced by Noughts and Crosses, which I thought was utter garbage, was depressing, because actually there's some things about consistency and this sort of tradition. Shakespeare's not the only decent writer that we produce that's over 50 years old. And it's nuts. Oh, Eternal, you speak my language. Montessori education, my fave for kids. All of my children went to Montessori called the Clifton Children's House. Um, and it was, honestly, it was just the most magic thing ever. We were the poorest people. We were the poorest people there, but it was the most magical education. By the time they were just really tiny, like 2, 2.5, 3 years old, if they spilt some water, they would go and get the mop and the bucket and they would clean it up. And at Montessori, they would go and get little trays. So it might be something about sort of water volume. So you would get a little tray and it would have a little bowl and a sponge and a measuring thing. And then you would get the sponge and you would pick up the water and you could squeeze the sponge and you would do all of that. And it was so good. There was a little locking box and there were jigsaw maps and oh, it was amazing. I would say to anyone, if you can afford and you have a Montessori near you, and it shouldn't cost any money, but if you had a Montessori near you, I would 100% recommend that for your children. Cartwright says, Kellie-Jay, would you consider? Yes, I would. Going to a West Yorkshire police station with your table and leaflets to show the public how captured they are. Yes, I would. They've interviewed me under caution on 2, 3 occasions. I forget, just too many. Oh, Montessori just kicked a Muslim. That isn't Montessori. That would just be some idiot running a Montessori. Okay, look. You can forever hold your peace. Well, until next year, next week, where I will be back. Oh. Good evening. This is Turf Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hello, Kellie-Jay. I can't. Oh my God.
Hello.
I can't believe I'm through. Okay. Oh yeah. I'm going to. I'm so sorry. I'm just so surprised that I came through.
What would you? You can say who you are. You don't have to. You can say where you're calling from in the world, or you could just tell us why you're calling.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry for my stumbling English, but I'm calling for the polar circle. Even up here, we have this problem. We have in our healthcare, we have this group that it's the same I hear from every caller that tells you about this. It's the same procedure, it's the same handbook or playbook or what you call, and it's I just can't believe it. For example, one, I can't, I don't know all the details, but a worker in healthcare was accused by a patient for misgendering. And, pronoun called a man, called this man a man, but he wanted to be called a woman. And we have like what do you call it, regions of healthcare. So this region was sued, and they have to pay 15,000 Swedish crowns. That's about 1,500 US dollars.
Right.
To this person, and this is one of many similar cases. So freedom of speech, which US new vice president talked about in his perfect, maybe not perfect, I don't know, but very good speech. Is under threat everywhere.
Yes.
And I've always looked to freedom of speech. That's the foundation of a functioning democracy.
Yeah.
So,
were you surprised how everybody criticized JD Vance for talking about what was going on in Europe, because I was delighted. I thought it was
Yeah.
just perfect, and I really like him. I'm sure there's things that I don't agree with him, but there's something about him that I think he's a really decent man, and I'm so happy
Yes.
that he talked about that.
Yes, I agree, and I think a lot. I think maybe the majority of every citizen in the whole of Europe agrees with him.
Yes.
But it's like you say, the working people and those in charge have different agendas. But this issue comes in, like you said, for several years. I follow you. I've been in the chat, but I don't want to disclose who I am.
Okay.
But also, this is so. My mind's been blown, and I've lost friends because, you know, phobic. They call me phobic, and you know, the really hard thing for me is that's what I apologize in advance to you, because I may, you know, a lot of us people, we say the wrong things. We when we try to use our freedom of expression, when we try to explain what have happened to us, we use the words we have at hand, or that pops up. All my life, I used different words. You know, I may be on the autism spectrum, and I've been bullied by adults and children because, you know, I don't get the words right, or I get silent. That's why I'm so impressed of you, because you, what is in Sweden, got skin on your nose. You can articulate everything in the clearest way, and I'm so thankful for that, and all that can speak clear and free, and just JD Vance. I think, I hope this will turn some stones, turn some heads, maybe inspire next elections in different countries, because a lot of people had enough.
When are your next elections?
Excuse me.
When are your next elections?
Next year.
Oh.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping is you've got Maloney and I know they're all on the right, so I'm well aware of that. But the only people that dare to be disliked and speak about this issue do seem to be politically on the right, and that's acknowledging that the politics has shifted beyond all measure anyway. So I'm hoping is that people understand and get. I'm trying not to use colloquialism so you understand what I'm saying. But the people understand that the way to get elected is to actually offer a version of Trump, which is probably going to get me into trouble, but it's somebody that is outside of the political system, who is speaking directly to the people, not using platitudes and sound bites, but actually is saying to someone, hey, do you know what? I understand that your groceries are very expensive and your fuel is more expensive than ever before. I hear you. Now, that it doesn't necessarily mean that they are the Lord and Savior and the most magic people on earth. But people just want someone who says, I've heard your concerns, and they are the concerns that I share, and I do want to address them. So let's hope.
Because every country, every democracy have this social contract. And what has happened is that is broken, because every person who works leave their children. You know, in most countries, it's every all the kids go to school.
Yes.
You can't stay home. You go to school. But when parents drop their kids to daycare or school, they want to know that they are safe, and not safe from hurty words. It's safe that they come home not brain fogged.
Yes.
It's such a terror that what you see and what you hear in all the women that call and dare to speak up. It's the same here. It's the same tactics. And one thing I thought about a lot, because I would try to explain this to friends, and they just before I show your videos, and then they change their mind. But because is it a cult? Is it a political movement? I would tell you, I think when I see this, it's like a cartel.
Yes.
It's functioning like a cartel. People are making money. The drug dealers on the corner. But we can change them out to doctors and different lobby groups. But it works like a cartel, because who can't you criticize? You can't go against the cartel.
Yes.
Because then you get shot. Here's the same. You get shot. Yeah, I've seen what happens to your lady. You're so brave. I see what's happened to you, and I always pray and always hope with my heart that nothing happens. But it's like they're talking about KIELLing all the people that disagree.
Yes.
And that's not a democracy.
No.
That's I can't stand about. I can't. It's like you are totally right that it's the so-called far right that's only speaking clearly. That's have common sense, and that's also making people be like in shock, because they can't believe that the Democratic parties are doing these laws that makes now anyone in Sweden, for example, can now identify without doing anything.
It's so mad,
people
because
say no.
I think with Sweden and Norway and other countries, there is a pincer grip. There's a pincer movement from both sides, both from new cultures that are growing quite rapidly that also don't like women very much, and then you've got, and you can't talk about that either, and then you've got the whole trans thing, and I just feel that women stand to lose the most. And these are the two issues that we're not allowed to talk about. We're really not allowed to. I remember Copenhagen, I think it was Copenhagen, where there was so many sexual assaults by, I think it was Egyptian migrants. So many sexual assaults, and women weren't allowed to talk about it because they were accused of being racist. And then this other thing we're not allowed to talk about because we're accused of being transphobic. And I think it's a very, very dangerous time, but that's why those of us that do know, do have to talk about it. But
because when I talk to people, I say, what's the outcome? If I tell a kid that be careful with your organs, you're going to have them the rest of your life. Please be careful. Please take care of all your organs, because you can have cancer and lose an organ. But here, so if I tell that, the outcome is maybe it will live, that child will grow up and live a healthy, long life, functioning life. But if you tell them to shut off body parts like it's nothing, you're gonna. It's madness. It's
It
like
is.
when that child turns 35. Oh, I can't go to the toilet. It's the outcome is the most important, not 30 words. And
Mm.
just one more thing, because I'm sorry that I'm jumping everywhere. I'm just,
It's all right.
it's been a hard day. I'm just going to say, I watched you in New Zealand live, and I was shocked of the treatment. I called newspapers here, but nobody wanted to talk. No, we're not interested. But I said, but a woman from England, Great Britain, is traveling to use her freedom of speech and expression, and she's almost got killed. No, nothing.
Well, that's
don't
all
wanna
right. Not
talk
many
about it.
people covered it here either. So, and I'm, I'm still not at that table. But it's
Yeah,
been lovely
thank
to
you
talk
to
to you.
all of you and all of you, and this for people, children and adults that need care. They can't talk. So everyone that's talked, who raised this issue, who clear speak. I'm just saying thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for calling, and it's been lovely.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go that far north, so maybe,
Yeah.
um,
Sometimes I'm a little bit scared about Sweden right now. It's so much crime, and
just
that Koran burner, he got assassinated. Freedom of speech.
What the bloody hell happened to Sweden? What happened? Like one minute it was just this kind of utopia, this wonderful balance. I mean, I know that, and I know that there are always some issues that weren't discussed, but like, what happened?
It was calm. It was, people came here for vacation just because it was boring and calm.
Yes.
And people, when they want excitement, they went to the States. And but here they came for the calmness. And now we have bombs going on. It's insane. It's so insane that Denmark, had almost shut their border to us.
Jesus Christ.
Because of all the crime.
Oh, well, look,
So,
I hope
we all had our problems.
Jesus, I really, it is really shocking. I think if people haven't been following what's happening in Sweden, there's a reason you haven't been told what's happening in Sweden. And it starts with the word my and it ends with the word grunt. So thank you so much for your call. It's been an absolute delight talking to you.
Well, and you have a lot of people that are sharing for you that may not be as brave as I was this evening to call. I have tried to make it to call a lot of years, but now I'm just today I just let's take it by the horns and try.
100%.
So I would thank you all. You're amazing. Thank you.
Oh, it's really nice to talk to you.
Thank
Have a lovely evening. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
cheers.
much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Oh, I mean, do you know what's going on in Sweden? It is batshit crazy, insane. And it is a stark warning. I would have said that Sweden was one of the most kind of incredible countries in Europe. It's a sort of place that I always thought you had to have quite a lot of money to visit. And it was, but they just shipped people in who I think the level of violence and rape is just astronomical. It is so frightening. But look, this is TERF Talk. This is what we do. We talk to women who maybe don't have anyone to talk to all around the world. It's the same. It's so depressing, isn't it? It's the same story everywhere. It's women feeling like they can't speak. It's friends kind of being moronic. whether it's Portugal, Sweden, Brazil, it's the same. It's women unable to talk about something that is really, really important. So look, if you lovely people can put up with my tech issues because I'm ever so charming, then I promise we will win. If we women, there's something so magic coming up with Let Women Speak. I can't tell you, but let's just say we are a global constituency of women, and Let Women Speak is producing something to assist the global constituency of women feel that little bit more together. If if you can reach out to someone, anyone at any point, and just speak the truth, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Well, because I never lose.
Maybe the air gave me the drive, for I'm all aglow and alive. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love.